Blue Lock, a fairly new soccer anime that's been blowing up for its great characters and explosive moments. Haikyuu, the most well-known sports anime and a pillar for the genre as a whole. And finally, Kuroko's Basketball, a super quirky show that seems to value pure adrenaline and entertainment over logic. These three shows are typically regarded as the big three when it comes to sports anime, and all these shows are legendary in their own right, but which of these three titans is the superior choice? In today's video, we'll be taking a deep dive into each show and ranking each aspect of them from first to third place. First place gets 3 points, second 2, and third 1. Just keep in mind that these are my opinions, so if you disagree with anything, you are free to explain your opinions in the comments down below. If you feel like showing me any support throughout the video, slap the like and subscribe button or join my Discord in the description below. And without further ado, let's hop into the video. In third place, I'm giving it to Kuroko. In his show, I don't even know if I'd put him in like my top 5 favorite characters. He doesn't have much personality. He's kind of just like there. Like he's like good for the story, but he's just as a main character, he's definitely on the weaker end compared to other shows I've watched. I'm giving Hinata second place. He's definitely a good main character, but honestly, out of him and Kageyama, I kind of prefer Kageyama, and he's not even the main character. I think shows like Haikyuu and Kuroko's Basketball that have 2 main characters always makes for a fun dynamic, but I feel like they also suffer from the fact that they have to share the limelight. And then for our first place, I mean, it should come as a shock to no one who's watched these 3 shows. It's definitely Go Sagi. Dog, no one does it like my Go Isagi. No one humbles people, has peak moments, or shit talks quite like my guy, whilst always looking cold as fuck doing it. Not even to mention his character arc and writing is easily the best out of the trio. Sagi is not only my favorite MC out of these 3, he's easily in my top 3 main characters just in anime in general. This second section was actually so hard, I can't even lie. All 3 of these shows immensely excel with their side characters, so I could 100% see anyone saying that any of these shows have the best side cast. For me personally though, as much as it pains me to say it, Haikyuu is probably last. Haikyuu has so many good characters. Firstly, as mentioned before, Kageyama, my sexy, glorious goat, Karasuno's pillar, Daichi, Nishi the defensive god, Suki the wall, Bokuto is honestly one of my favorite characters, the funny Mia twins, and finally, the ultra super villain, Oikawa. Overall though, I feel almost every character in Haikyuu is good, but no one's like insanely stand out in my opinion, other than like my goat Kageyama, so that's why for me it's last place. Kuroko's Basketball for me is getting second place solely because of the Generation of Miracles. I mean, outside of the Generation of Miracles, sure, there's still a lot of good characters, but Aomine and Akashi just simply diff all of Haikyuu. Firstly, there's Giga Chad Aomine. Dog, what do I even say about this guy? He's the definition of the strongest. Funny enough, he's voiced by Sukuna, who's also the strongest. Just get this guy to voice any Giga Chad character and he'll be perfect. Aomine was on the team with the Generation of Miracles in middle school. A team of 5 players that were basically gods in their own right, and he was the ace out of all of them. He is formless and limitless, and he knows it. His ego is massive, but he can always back it up. Then we have the leader of the Generation of Miracles, the schizo god himself, Akashi Seijiro. This guy states that he doesn't win because he works really hard or really wants to win. It's just because that's the natural order in life. He has never known defeat and wins at everything. Everyone is scared of him because they just know how he's an unstoppable force of nature, and you will bow to him. And then finally, I just have to put Block on number 1 again. With Block's theme of everyone being an egoist, it naturally just spawns in all these Giga Chads, Bachira, Chigiri, Nagi, Rin, Kaiser, Baro, Shido. Like, I'm sorry, but personally, it's not even close. For plot, I'm giving Kuroko's Basketball and Haikyuu third and second, but these plots are nearly identical. 2 high school teams form and try to win the spring/winter cups, blah blah blah. I'm giving Haikyuu the edge though, because at least they actually went past high school in the manga and showed some pro arcs. But obviously again, like Block just wins this section too. And before you ask, no, I'm not just glazing Block. It won't be first in every section, I promise. But even from a non-biased POV, the whole idea of the organization of Block is just far more original and interesting as a plot. It's literally Squid Games, but for soccer. Like, it was just obviously gonna win this one. Once again, it pains me to say it, as much as I truly love Haikyuu, a lot of the absolute best moments on rewatch are extremely good, but I feel like the other 2 shows just do peak slightly better. My theory is the fact that since it's volleyball, even if a really insane point gets made, they need 25 to win just that one set. So usually the peak moments come from them winning games versus like cool points. And once again, I really do love Haikyuu, but after not watching the show for like a year, all the games kind of blend together in my mind. In second place, Kuroko's Basketball kind of has the same issue, where because it's basketball, you naturally score so many points. A lot of the baskets aren't that memorable, but In my opinion, Kuriko's basketball is able to have so many unique and peak moments because of the fact that every game feels so different. Firstly, we got to talk about the reasons why this show is so peak. The generation of miracles in the zone. The zone in this show is like flow state, and it's literally just them being Super Saiyan, more or less. Watching Kagami finally enter the zone and have that legendary battle with him and Omine is insane. Also, the final movie match where we finally got to see the 5 generation of miracles play together after the entire show was just something else. One of my favorite moments was when Kisei used his perfect copy to basically be all 5 generational miracle members at once, and he entered the zone, and for those few minutes he literally ascended to godhood and he was the strongest in the show. Wow, even Kuriko making his first shot in a game. I mean, it only took 46 fucking episodes? For someone who hasn't seen that show, that probably makes negative sense, but don't worry about it. And then once again, if you've watched all 3 shows, you know, Blue Lock has undeniably the most peak moments. Not just at these 3 shows, but in most of anime, in my opinion. The section is slightly unfair, just on the fact that soccer, unlike volleyball or basketball, has barely any goals per game. So of course they are more memorable. Shido's bicycle, Isagi winning U20, Kaiser's bicycle, Isagi's dual leg shot, Rin's schizo goal, and many more. This section just simply wasn't fair, honestly. Kuriko's basketball is definitely dead last in this section. The saddest moment I can like really think of is at the end of the movie when Kagami says he's leaving to play in America because he wants to join the NBA. I mean, sure, it's like a little sad, but like, meh. Blue Lock in second. It has a lot of emotional moments, like when Blue Lock won the U20 match. Seeing the look on everyone's faces, finally knowing Blue Lock is safe, hits so hard. Even Ego being hype and finally letting out that deep breath was such a good scene. And of course, we have all the backstories and flashbacks. I think Blue Lock will definitely be number 1 for this section once more of the main cast is eliminated. But as of now, there are definitely good emotional moments, but it's not number 1 for me. IQ 100% wins this category for me. IQ is extremely good at building things up for multiple seasons in advance for a massive payoff. Take, for example, Hinata sneaking into the training camp. He's being forced to be a ball boy. We see Hinata was able to slowly learn where the ball would end up from rigorous practice and careful analysis. Then in his match versus the Mia twins, we finally see a massive spike come in from their ace, and when all hope is lost, I never thought the day would come when I say this to you. Nice receive. I mean, it only took 4 seasons, but better late than never. And then my favorite and probably most iconic moment was finally seeing Suki block Ushijima's spike to win the set. Seeing the buildup of Suki's character go from thinking everything's stupid to finally after 3 seasons allowing himself to stop hiding his feelings and to actually be excited about volleyball was such a hard-hitting scene. Seeing everyone's reactions to him yelling and seeing his brother filling with pride was just overall such a perfect scene. As a surprise to absolutely no one, CGI running and slideshow animation was always going to be last place. It's so sad too, because out of the last like 10-15 animes I've watched, Blue Lock easily has the worst animation out of all of them, and Blue Lock is one of my favorite shows, so of course it would look like Monkey. And then I'm giving Haikyuu first and Kuriko's basketball second. When it comes to overall animation, Haikyuu is the most consistently solid throughout, although Kuriko's basketball peaks higher for me. So if you wanted to rank based on the peaks, I would give it to Kuriko. But I feel Haikyuu still deserves first place because it is the highest overall average just in general. For manga art, I skipped the end of the Haikyuu mangas just to see what it would look like. And I mean, like, it's not bad, but overall, I'm not impressed. Truthfully, I think Kuriko's basketball is more or less the same quality as Haikyuu, where it's passable, but truthfully, just nothing special. Although I feel it slightly edges out Haikyuu, but that's more or less just my opinion. And then with the most giga landslide victory, it's Blue Lock. Bro, I glaze Blue Lock's art every single week when a new chapter comes out. I mean, just look. It's so goddamn good. The Blue Lock artist, Yusuke Nomura. Dude, let this guy cook. He knows what he's fucking doing. I could literally spend hours a day just staring at some of these panels. They are that good. I added this category just because I found it to be funny. Last is Kuriko. I mean, sure, he likes basketball, but Second is Isagi. I mean, yeah, he loves soccer and he finds the thrill of it to be his favorite thing. But first is definitely Hinata. Bro went around begging basketball players and other people just to practice bumping the ball to him. He even sleeps holding a volleyball. It's so funny. Hinata's the type of guy that when he gets older, I swear he'd actually cut a hole into one and do unspeakable things to it. Blue Lock is probably last in this section. This show doesn't really even attempt humor that often. But when it does, it's definitely funny at times though. Kuriko's Basketball is above Block, not because I feel like it's necessarily funnier than Block, it just attempts humor more often, so there's more opportunities to laugh. And then with another landslide victory, Haikyuu is definitely the funniest show here, and it's not even close. When watching Haikyuu, I unironically laughed at almost every single episode. This show is actually so funny when it doesn't need to be. The dynamic between Kageyama and Hinata is always great, and then other characters like Tanaka and Nishi make me laugh all the time. Overall, if you're looking for like a chill show to just make you laugh and have a good time, Haikyuu will probably be the best pick for you. So for this category, when I say fun, it's more like how fun / goofy this show is, not like how much fun you have watching it. For me, I'm putting Block last. Block is a manga that's almost strictly business and very rarely shows us fun and goofy moments. The only like real fun moments I can think of from the manga was after the U20 game where all the players met and fucked around in the bowling alley and the arcade. Those wholesome chapters with the boys were great, and I hope we have more of them. Second is Haikyuu. Haikyuu is a very fun and goofy show a lot of the time just because of the dynamic between Hinata and Kageyama. They're always competing over some actual dumb shit, whether it be racing or jumping or literally anything. One moment that comes to mind is when they accidentally ran into a literal whole separate town and ran into Ushijiwa. That shit was so fucking stupid. Like, how do you accidentally run into another town? That's just insane. And then with an extreme landslide victory, this section goes to Kuriko's Basketball. Anyone who's seen the show knows the show is actually insane. First off, we have Kuriko. He is so ass on his own at basketball that his presence is near zero, which in turn lets him slip past his enemies because they just keep forgetting he exists. Sure, why not? Or like when he uses his misdirection overflow and his teammates just despawn out of existence, like, huh? Or Midorima's ability to make a shot at literally any distance with a 100% chance of making it in. Or the fact that a character like Kisei exists, and for 5 minutes in any game, he can just become a carbon copy of any player. Or the fact that Akashi can make anyone fall over with a 100% guarantee with his Emperor Eye. Basically, all the Generation of Miracle members are enigmas to the normal world. Or the fact that the zone is literally just them going Super Saiyan. I also just find it hilarious that characters can just instantly tell when someone enters the zone or leaves the zone. They see him blink a little harder than usual, and they're like, he's locked in, he's in the zone. Like, I love the fact that Kisei could use his perfect copy, but only for exactly 300 seconds before it just wears off and you can't use it anymore. Overall, this show is so goofy and I love it. This was a weird category to rank because each of these shows is more or less paced well, but they have slight moments of weakness in all of them. And last, I'm giving it to Haikyuu. It's paced really well, but some of the matches are awfully long, like the entirety of season 3 being one match. Oh my god. Kuriko's Basketball is also pretty well paced, but some of the progression feels slightly too fast in my opinion. Like, they hype up the Generation of Miracles to be this unbeatable force, but then beat Kisei in a practice match in like episode 4. I mean, they definitely weren't trying their hardest, but it still was weird. And then finally, I'll have Block in first. Season 1 was paced very well. Most of the matches were only 1 to 2 episodes and didn't overstay their welcome. The only weird thing I can say about the pacing is how fast the players' skill levels increase in the NEL arc, but I don't care about that type of stuff too much. Overall though, all 3 of these shows have really good pacing, so really all 3 of these could have won this section, but I just slightly prefer the way Block paces its show, so that's why I give it first. Dog, did you even pay attention to the previous sections? Because Basketball is 100% the least realistic show out of these 3. Not a single part of the show is realistic. Blue Lock is fairly realistic, I feel like, when watching the show. I think the most unrealistic part, like I just said, is the explosive growth and skill from certain characters, but everything else is And then in first place, I have Haikyuu. This show is extremely realistic in almost every aspect of skill and progression. The only thing not super realistic is the iconic quick between Kageyama and Hinata, but even in real life, super fast quicks like that are possible to a certain extent. But overall, yeah, this show is definitely the most realistic of the bunch. Kuriko's Basketball is getting last place. Yes, there is character development for certain characters, but like overall, a lot of the characters don't change that much from how they started. So yeah, I can't really put it higher than last place. Haikyuu is second. Seeing characters like Kageyama go from an average CS:GO teammate to an actual strong pillar of the team was beautiful. Or like I said before, Suki's development from emo to hero. But even with all of this, Blue Lock is 100% number 1. The only way to succeed in Block is to be able to completely disregard your philosophies and rebuild yourself from the ground up numerous times. We've seen this so many times throughout the show. It's one of the main aspects of what makes Block so great. If you're not constantly evolving, you just fall off. And seeing certain characters develop is one of my favorite parts of the show. A little unfair, but Block is last place because it doesn't even have an ending, so it sucks to suck. Kuriko's basketball is slightly satisfying knowing that Kagami and Aomine will move to America to play in the NBA, but I think it's just a big miss we didn't get to see any of it, and we never even knew for sure if they made it. I mean, Aomine probably did, but we just never got to see it. And then pretty easily, Haikyuu wins the section because the author actually went past high school, and it was super cool seeing Hinata, Kageyama, and so many other characters actually have the opportunity to go pro like they dreamed of. I think when Block ends, it will 100% be the best ending, but as of right now, the ending hasn't even been written, so Haikyuu deserves the first place spot. These are the final scores. Kuriko's basketball 23 points, Haikyuu 30th, and Block 31 points. With these final scores, do I personally think Block is the best and Kuriko's basketball is the worst? Yeah, I do. But does that mean I feel like everyone will agree with this? No. If you're looking for a goofy, fun show with many lovable characters and insane moments, Kuriko's basketball will 100% be the pick for you. If you just want an overall great show that does extremely good work in every section, or you've never watched anime before, I would highly recommend Haikyuu. And finally, if you love the great intensity that Block generates, mixing a hype sport with genius philosophy and mindsets, then Blue Lock will be your pick. As someone who's seen all three of these shows, I could understand if any of these were your favorite. I thoroughly enjoyed almost every episode of all three of these shows, and I can't recommend these to anybody enough. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, or this man will be waiting for you on the other side. See you in the next one. Peace.